Coke. The NBA drew a hard line on cocaine back in the 80s when the drug epidemic almost destroyed the league's image. It wasn't just players risking their health. Sloppy defense and fractured team chemistry were dragging everyone down. The last thing the league wanted was for fans to picture their heroes nodding off instead of leveling up. Cocaine's dangers were no joke. Heart attacks, strokes, brain damage. Players were literally gambling with their lives and everyone else's safety every time they set foot on the court under its influence. Michael Ray Richardson paid the steepest price. 3 failed tests and a lifetime ban in '86, and that was the end of the road. Lewis Lloyd and Mitchell Wiggins both tested hot in '87 too, but they got a second chance in '89. Chris Washburn didn't get so lucky. 3 strikes over 3 years led to a permanent ban in '89. The league's point was crystal clear. Get near cocaine, and your NBA career's over. It wasn't just about kicking players off rosters, it was about preserving the sport's integrity, protecting the athletes, and keeping fans' faith intact. No gray areas, no warnings. The message was simple: cocaine and the NBA just don't mix. O.J. Mayo's career hit the skids thanks to busted drug policy rules. Back in January 2011, he popped positive for dehydroepiandrosterone, a performance enhancer, and got slapped with a 10-game ban. He pointed the finger at an over-the-counter supplement, but that was just the opening act. Fast forward to July 2016, and he storms right back into trouble with another drug violation. The league kept the exact substances under wraps, but Mayo eventually owned up to smoking weed and popping prescription painkillers, both drugs of abuse on the NBA's list. That second strike was the nail in the coffin. The NBA officially dismissed and disqualified him, forcing him to sit out for at least 2 years before even thinking about a comeback. As a free agent in 2016, no team dared to sign him. His career stalled, money woes crept in, staff scattered, and bills piled up. Still, Mayo refused to throw in the towel. He hit the gym again, declared he was ready to play by the rules, and begged for another shot. It underlined one thing loud and clear: the NBA isn't messing around. Break the rules, and they'll make sure the fallout is severe enough to scare anyone from testing those limits again. Supreme's box logo style got the NBA's radar buzzing. In December 2017, J.R. Smith showed up in a Supreme arm sleeve during a game, and the league wasn't having it. They told him, lose it or cover it up. Not long after, Kelly Oubre Jr. rocked a Supreme leg sleeve, only to have officials yank it off at halftime. No fines, but those were official warnings. Then in 2018, Smith went all in and inked the Supreme logo on his calf. The NBA's response? Cover that tattoo every game or face a daily fine. No suspension, but he definitely felt the squeeze. It's all about protecting those multi-billion-dollar sponsorship deals, think Nike, so random brands don't hijack the spotlight for free. It's not a fashion police thing, it's straight business. Guys like PJ Tucker and Devin Booker still flex Supreme off the court, but they know better than to bring it into the arena. The message is loud and clear. Supreme's cool. Just keep it out of game action. Beach balls. They're a no-go in the NBA, and for good reason. The league's rulebook flat out bans them. Fans can't bring them, teams can't hand them out, and you won't see players, mascots, or staff tossing them around mid-game. Why? Because one rogue beach ball on the hardwood equals instant chaos. They're light, easy to fling, and the second one bounces onto the court, game's paused, momentum's shot, and everybody's rhythm is out the window. Safety's another big deal. Sure, it's unlikely, but what if a player charging down the lane trips over one? The NBA won't gamble with injuries. Training for security? Spot beach balls, swoop in, confiscate, and pop if necessary. Fans caught sneaking them in or chucking them onto the court. Ejection, no refunds. Game over. Teams can even get fined if they try to use beach balls for promos, though that hardly ever happens. Nobody wants to eat that fine. In slower sports, beach balls might be part of the scene, but basketball moves too fast and the court's too tight for that sort of distraction. The NBA isn't here to kill vibes. It just wants total control of the court. Bottom line, beach balls stay in the stands. APL kicks. In 2010, the NBA pulled the plug on APL's spring-loaded sneakers before they ever hit the court. Their Concept 1 load-in launch tech supposedly tacked on an extra 3.5 inches to your vertical. No style points there, just straight-up physics. The league saw it as a shortcut and said, no thanks, banning the shoes outright with 0 fines or suspensions, just a hard stop. APL had actually sent the design in for a green light, only to watch the NBA shut it down on the spot. The shoes never made game day, but the ban turned into free publicity. The shoes banned by the NBA flew off the shelves as soon as they dropped. Still, no player dared lace them up in season. There's too much on the line. The NBA is all about keeping the playing field level, and they weren't about to let pogo-powered sneakers tip the scales. Even stars like LeBron and KD stuck with their Nike deals. No extra spring needed. The rules held ever since. If your shoes give you a jump boost, they're out. Fair game or no game. Betting. The NBA's had a no gambling rule locked in for decades, and it's ironclad. Players, coaches, refs, any team staff are flat banned from wagering on anything tied to the league. Games, drafts, MVP awards, even NBA video game tournaments. None of it. The rulebook spells it out. If you gamble on NBA action, you're looking at serious punishment up to a lifetime ban. Why? Simple. The league needs fans to trust that every buzzer beater and playoff push is on the level, not rigged by some side bet. This stance goes way back. In the 50s and 60s, college hoops scandals spilled into the NBA. Jack Molinas and company got banned forever, and the league took notes. Fast forward to 2007, when Tim Donaghy, a ref, was caught betting on games he called. He went to prison, and the NBA slammed down even tougher rules. Even now, with sports betting legal in over 30 states, any roster player who even dips a toe is out. The NBA might team up with sportsbooks for sponsorships and data, but cross that line, and you're history. No gray areas, no mulligans. Gambling and the NBA just don't mix. Tyreke Evans. On May 17, 2019, the NBA pulled the plug on him for failing a drug test under its anti-drug program. Think heavy hitters like cocaine, opiates, PCP. This wasn't a slap-on-the-wrist suspension. It was a straight 2-year dismissal with no appeal, exactly what the collective bargaining agreement spells out. He was off limits until 2021. Evans once looked like franchise gold. Drafted 4th in 2009, he posted rookie numbers north of 20 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists per night, joining an elite club. But by 2018, his stats were sliding, off-court hiccups in Indiana piled up, and then that positive test sealed his fate. He missed the 2019 free agency bonanza and a potential $12 million payday. Though he got reinstated in 2022, no NBA team rolled the dice on him. A brief G League stint, 5 games, then a cut, and by 2024, he was balling in Venezuela. The league never named the exact substance, but it stuck to its long-standing policy born from past crises. Drug violations mean you can earn a second chance, but nobody said you'd get your old life back. For Evans, the comeback just never materialized. LSD. The NBA lumps it in with drugs of abuse. Cocaine, PCP, heroin, meth, you name it. Pop positive for any of those, and you're looking at an instant 2-year dismissal. No appeal, no second chances. LSD's wild hallucinogen effects, warping perception, jacking with reality, would be a disaster on the court, putting players and everyone around them at risk. The league's stance? Zero tolerance. A positive LSD test triggers that automatic 2-year boot. They won't call out the specific drug when they announce a ban, so LSD slip-ups could have happened without anyone ever knowing. But let's be real. Pro athletes rarely trip on acid, so it's no shock there aren't headlines. Still, the NBA covers its bases. You break federal law with LSD, you break NBA rules too. Cultural shifts or peptide research aside, there's no gray area here. Get caught, and you're gone for 2 years, plain and simple. Ninja headbands. Before the 2019-20 season tipped off, the NBA pulled the plug on those long-tailed wraps everyone was rocking. During 2018-19, guys like Jimmy Butler, De'Aaron Fox, and Montrezl Harrell turned them into must-have gear, but they never cleared the league's uniform check. The NBA flagged them as unofficial and unapproved, citing safety worries. Tails could get snagged or trip someone, and calling the look unprofessional, despite 0 injury reports. When Mike Scott pointed out on Twitter that the league and Nike thought they were too unprofessional, social media blew up. Fans dug the style, and players bristled at losing their signature flair. Harrell even called the safety argument nonsense. The ban kicked in over the offseason with no fines or suspensions, and by opening night, everyone was back to standard, league-approved headbands. Fast forward to 2025, and that ninja rap ban still stands. Despite online petitions and rumors, it was really about hiding reverse-turned Nike swooshes. What started as a fashion flex became a footnote in the rulebook faster than you could tie a tail. Jontay Porter. On April 17, 2024, the NBA pulled the rug out from under him with a lifetime ban for crossing the ultimate line, gambling. Porter didn't just place a few bets on the side, he sold insider injury info to a bettor, deliberately tanked his minutes to cash in on prop bets, and even wagered on NBA games himself. That's smack in the middle of the league's competitive integrity red zone. Before a March showdown with Sacramento, Porter whispered to someone that he was hurt. That tip turned into an $80,000 bet on his stat line going under, and he played a mere 3 minutes and hit every under. He pulled the same stunt in January against the Clippers. From January through March, he dropped 13 bets, some even against his own team, and pocketed over $21,000 before the NBA shut him down. At just 24, his career was toast. He later pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and now faces up to 20 years behind bars. The league used Porter's fall to make one thing crystal clear. You gamble while wearing an NBA jersey, you're done. No takebacks. Jontay Porter's story is now a cautionary tale, a name forever stamped in the history books for all the wrong reasons. Black carbon fiber masks never got a written ban, but they've all but vanished. Stars like Kobe, LeBron, and Kyrie each rocked one for a game, or barely that, before the league quietly insisted on a switch. The NBA's excuse? Visibility. Opponents need to see your eyes, and apparently solid black masks muck things up. LeBron called that reasoning flimsy, but he still complied. Beyond the sightline issue, these masks weren't on the NBA's approved gear list, or from league partners like Nike. Kobe's 2012 look and LeBron's Miami-made piece in 2014 raised eyebrows. After a 31-point night in that black shell, Bron was politely asked to trade it for a clear version the next game. Kyrie got the same memo in 2017, and Kobe's style experiment only lasted a half. No fines ever landed, but every time the league stepped in, players flipped to the approved clear masks, and the black ones disappeared. Joel Embiid snagged a rare exception in 2018 for medical reasons, but otherwise it's been clear only ever since. It wasn't a safety crackdown so much as a branding play. Keep the look uniform, leave the flash for off-court. Durags. They never got an official no durags rule, but by 2005 you'd be hard-pressed to spot one in an arena. It kicked off when David Stern rolled out his dress code: no chains, no jerseys, and yep, no durags, whenever players were on team business, from travel days to media obligations. The mandate was all about collared shirts, dress shoes, and dialing down the street-style swagger that icons like AI brought off court. On game nights, the NBA already banned non-uniform headgear unless it was for medical reasons. Durags simply didn't qualify. Refs were told to toss them if they saw them. Sam Perkins even had to ditch his before tip-off once. AI never rocked one on the court, though he kept him in his tunnel wardrobe until the crackdown. A few guys pushed back. Steven Jackson kept his on and racked up fines near $25,000, while others bit their tongue and complied. Iverson famously called it an attack on freedom and a bad look for kids, but the league's image pivot was in full swing. Suits over streetwear, clean lines for sponsors and families. Today you might catch a durag on a tunnel walk, but once you hit that hardwood, it's a no-go, and the rules enforcement has never let up. Richard Dumas' NBA ride ended in '96 after he struck out on the league's drug policy for the third time. He blew his first warning in 1991, before he even laced up his rookie sneakers, and got shipped overseas as punishment. When he returned in '92, he looked unstoppable, dropping 15-plus points a night and powering the Suns all the way to the finals. But the honeymoon didn't last. By '93, he'd missed the whole season for flunking his aftercare rules. Second strike. He earned another shot in '95, landed with the Sixers, and almost immediately slipped again. Midway through '95 to '96, he tested positive once more and got the final boot. Dumas later opened up about battling cocaine, booze, bipolar swings, and anxiety. He even needed a six-pack before tip-off. Post-NBA, he bounced around overseas and in the minors, but never cracked an NBA roster again. He was just 26 when it all fell apart. In 2013, a retail theft arrest landed him probation, cementing his legacy not as a finals phenom, but as a cautionary tale of talent undone by demons. By 2025, his name still carries that bittersweet echo. What could have been versus what was lost. The original Air Jordan 1s got the NBA's red flag back in '85, not for tech or performance, but straight up style. League rules back then said kicks had to be mostly white or match your team's threads. Jordan's red and black pair, they stuck out like a sore thumb against the Bulls' white jerseys. Each time he laced them up, the league fined him, starting at $1,000 a game and eventually ballooning to $5,000. Nike covered every dime. Rather than ditch the shoe, Nike leaned in, spinning the fines into a guerrilla marketing masterstroke. The NBA banned them, they proclaimed. Myth cemented. Meanwhile, MJ just switched to compliant colorways of the same silhouette, but that forbidden label only dripped more allure. He still dropped 28 points a night, snagged Rookie of the Year, and Nike moved over $126 million of Jordans in that first season. Fast forward to 2018, and the NBA axed its color rules entirely. Today you'll spot any hue you can dream up on court, including that once prohibited black and red. The legend of the banned Jordan 1 kicked off the sneaker culture wildfire we're still riding. Non-NBA logos are a no-fly zone in games. Only Nike and league-approved sponsors get court real estate. Ever since 2017, when Nike snagged the uniform deal, anything else on jerseys, headbands, sleeves, or visible gear gets booted. If you're not writing a check to the NBA, you're not showing up on court. That's why J.R. Smith had to peel off his Supreme Arms sleeve in 2017, and Lonzo Ball slapped tape over his Big Baller brand tattoo in 2018. No fines made headlines, but the warning was clear. Test the rule, and you'll face consequences. This isn't about safety or performance. APL sneakers and black masks had different bans, but straight-up branding. Supreme and BBB didn't pay to play, so the NBA shut them down. With billions flowing from licensed gear, free ad space for outsiders isn't happening. Fans gripe it's petty. Others say it keeps the game polished. Either way, outside logos stay backstage. On the hardwood, it's NBA approved only. No exceptions, no loopholes. Fast Eddie Johnson got the final word from the NBA in October 1987 after bombing out on the league's three-strike drug policy. He'd racked up multiple cocaine positives, skipped the required counseling, and was making headlines for arrests and off-court antics. Back then, the NBA was already on high alert after Len Bias's death in '86, so Johnson's third strike meant an automatic lifetime ban. No appeals, no second chances. Right in the middle of a brief stint with the Seattle Supersonics, he'd already been suspended and waived twice. Off the hardwood, things only got darker. Johnson never asked to come back, and his life unraveled with over 100 arrests. In 2008, he was convicted of child sexual assault and sentenced to life without parole, dying behind bars in 2020. It's a stark contrast to the two-time All-Star and scoring machine he'd once been with the Hawks. Eddie Johnson's fall became the ultimate cautionary tale, underscoring just how serious the NBA was about cleaning up its image in the late 80s. Gold chains? They got benched in 2005 when David Stern rolled out his league-wide dress code: no visible chains, pendants, or medallions over your gear during games, travel days, or any team business. On-court jewelry rules had already kicked in back in the late 80s for safety. Refs couldn't have players snagging or snapping chains in traffic. Stars like Allen Iverson and Steven Jackson felt it most. Jackson took a $25,000 fine in 2005 for rocking a chain, and Iverson griped about losing his signature look, but ultimately complied. It wasn't about suspensions, just steep fines, $10,000 to $50,000 if you kept pushing it. Critics cried foul, saying it targeted the hip-hop vibe. When Adam Silver came aboard in 2014, the dress code loosened off-court, but in-game chains? Still off-limits. Tunnel fashion brings the bling back before tip-off, but once you hit the hardwood, those gold links stay locked away. Another chapter in the NBA's shift from street swagger to polished pro. Donald Sterling's NBA story ended on April 29, 2014, when a leaked tape caught him telling his mistress to keep black people out of Clippers games and off her social media. The fallout was immediate. Commissioner Adam Silver invoked Article 13 of the NBA Constitution, any behavior that tarnishes the league's image, and slapped Sterling with a lifetime ban and the maximum $2.5 million fine. Suddenly, Sterling was stripped of all Clippers power and forced to sell. His wife brokered the deal with Steve Ballmer for a staggering $2 billion that summer, turning a $13.5 million purchase into a billionaire payday. Sterling tried to sue the NBA for a cool $1 billion, but that lawsuit vanished almost as fast as it appeared. Years of racist allegations, housing discrimination suits, Elgin Baylor's claims, had simmered under the surface, but this incident lit a fire the league couldn't ignore. Players talked boycotts, sponsors bailed, and the NBA moved at warp speed to protect its brand. Sterling's ban still stands, a landmark moment showing that even owners can't dodge accountability when they cross the line. Cell phones. The NBA isn't having it when it comes to bench-bound texting mid-game. Since smartphones blew up in the early 2000s, the league's rulebook, Game Ops Manual, and Article 35 of the CBA has banned players, coaches, and staff from whipping out their phones on the bench, in locker rooms during tip-off, or on the court. Why? To keep everyone locked in on hoops, not smartphones. Remember Gilbert Arenas getting busted for halftime texts in 2008? Or J.R. Smith coughing up a $5,000 fine in 2015 for scrolling during a timeout? Even Chris Paul got the side-eye for checking his screen before tip-off in 2012. The NBA doesn't want surprise tweets hijacking the broadcast or phone games risking leaks or shady bets. Refs and staff patrol the benches, and phones only come out for real emergencies or supervised halftime peaks. Sure, penalties are usually just fines, but the message is loud and clear. Keep those devices holstered until after the final buzzer. Tinted goggles? The NBA shut those down fast. Anything that hides your eyes is off the table. It all goes back to the league's gear rules. On-court equipment has to be approved and leave your eyes visible. In 2011, Dwyane Wade tried tinted lenses to fight migraines, but the league nixed it, saying he could mask his gaze and throw off defenders. Rajon Rondo ran into the same roadblock in 2012, and JaVale McGee had to ditch his at halftime in 2021 after the Suns got the call. Clear goggles? No problem. Legends like Kareem and Rip Hamilton rocked them for years. But add tint, and suddenly it's too much of an edge. There have been no massive fines. Wade and Rondo just got told to switch before tip-off, and McGee faced a threat of penalty if he refused. Everyone flipped to clear frames, no argument. It isn't about player safety or sponsors, it's about keeping things fair and the court looking sharp. By 2025, tinted goggles are a fun footnote, not coming back anytime soon. John Drew was the first NBA player hit with a lifetime ban under the league's 3 strikes drug rule back in January 1986. He'd already flunked 2 cocaine tests. First strike led to treatment, second landed him a suspension, and by the time he checked into rehab a third time, the league said game over. Even though he was playing in the CBA at the moment, NBA rules still applied, and Commissioner David Stern wasn't messing around. The message was loud and clear. Drug use wouldn't be tolerated during the height of the cocaine crisis. Drew's roller coaster run began in the late 70s with Atlanta, carried him to the Jazz, and stumbled under the weight of relapses and off-court drama. Once a 15,000-point scorer and 2-time All-Star, he watched his payday shrink from $500,000 a year to just $500 a week in the minors. Even though he could have asked for reinstatement by 87, he never took that shot. Drew passed away in 2022 at 67, his career now a stark reminder of how quickly talent can vanish when addiction takes control.